Chapter 1. What is child sexual abuse? Child sexual abuse includes, but is not limited to, kissing, holding, or fondling a child in a sexual way, exposing genitals to a child, talking in a sexual way that's not appropriate for a child's age, making obscene phone calls, text messages, or remarks, persistently intruding on a child's privacy, showing pornographic videos or images to a child, forcing a child or young person to watch a sexual act, child exploitation, sex or sexual activity with a child. The Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse defined child sexual exploitation as occurring when a child is manipulated or coerced to participate in a sexual activity in exchange for or in the promise of rewards, including affection, attention, gifts, food, accommodation, clothing, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, or money. Child sexual exploitation is a distinct form of child sexual abuse because of the notion of exchange or reward. What are the signs of possible sexual abuse that I should be looking out for? These may vary dependent upon age and development of the child. Emotional and behavioural signs. Speaking about, or knowing more about, sexual activities than other children at a similar age or development. Playing or acting in a sexual way. Refusing to undress for activities or wearing additional layers of clothing. Afraid of being alone with a particular person or group. Afraid of going to a particular place. Changes in personality or temperament. Expressions of despair, worry, anxiety, fear. Changes in behaviour, withdrawn, outbursts, over-the-top emotions. Creating stories or artwork about abuse. Changes in sleeping habits, starting to have nightmares, becoming secretive. Physical signs. Bruising, bleeding, swelling, tears or cuts on their genitals or anus. Itching or pain in the genital area. Difficulty going to the toilet, walking or sitting. Starting to wet the bed or soil themselves. Chronic stomach pain. STIs or chronic thrush or unexplained repeated concerns. Early onset of puberty, usually in children under the age of 10. Keeping children safe. Advocating for your child. Advocating for your child and their safety means speaking up for their rights, needs and interests, be that with friends or family, even professionals who help care for and are directly involved with your child. There are many ways you can advocate. Gather information and document any changes that you notice. Seek advice and external supports. Don't hesitate to talk to professionals. Communicate. Stay informed and address any concerns promptly. Be proactive. Use clear and concise language. Be sure your message is clear and easy to understand. Stay informed. Understand your child's rights and the available resources. Seek support from others. Don't be afraid to ask for help from family, friends, or organisations. Affirmation. I know my child. They know me. I am a good advocate for my child. Some things to consider before having a conversation about child sexual abuse prevention. Before engaging in a conversation with another adult about child sexual abuse prevention, consider the following things. Environment. Consider where you would like to engage in a conversation. Where would be an appropriate place to meet? Is it private? What environment will enable the conversation to flow naturally and without disruption? Time. Consider what you would like to discuss and how much time the conversation requires. Check in with yourself. How are you feeling? Do you feel like you can have the conversation today? It is so important to go into this with curiosity and an open mind. Communication. Be open and honest in the conversation. whilst communicating your expectations and boundaries in a clear, direct, and specific way. Affirmation. I don't love difficult conversations, but I love my child. Concerning behaviours of adults and or other children. Below are some examples of concerning behaviours. Each example is accompanied by an example of a suggested response. 1. Not respecting boundaries. Here is an example of how you could respond. I notice that you encourage or you allow my child to watch MA15 plus movies that we don't approve of. You need to check with me first to see if it's okay. 2. Encouraging or engaging in touch where a child's parent or carer has indicated the attention is unwanted. Here is an example of how you could respond. Hey, I noticed that you encourage my child to kiss or hug or even touch to say goodbye. That's not okay with me. We can have a conversation about alternatives. 3. Not having age-appropriate relationships. You can ask the person in contact with your child questions about their work, family, friends, hobbies, and interests to gain more context and understanding about who they are and who is in their circle. 4. Talking about personal problems or intimate relationships with a child. Here is an example of how you could respond. Look, I understand you spoke to my child about your relationship, some concerns and personal problems you had. That's not appropriate. You'll need to seek some alternative support. Maybe you could speak to a friend or a family member or even a counsellor. 5. Spending time alone with a child outside of their role in that child's life or making excuses to be alone with the child. For example, if a childcare worker wants to spend time with your child outside of work hours. Here is an example of how you could respond. I notice that you want to spend a lot of time with my child. I feel that this is inappropriate. Please stop. 6. Expressing unusual interest in your child's sexual development. Here is an example of how you could respond. I've noticed that you sometimes make comments about my child's development. Yeah, I think this is inappropriate. Could you please stop doing that? 7. Giving gifts without occasion or reason. Here is an example of how you could respond. Thank you so much for the gift. It's really sweet, but on this occasion, I'm sorry, we can't accept it. 8. Restricting your child's access to other trusted adults, for example, at a family gathering or function. Here is an example of how you could respond. Hey, it's come to my attention that you're discouraging my child from spending time with other trusted adults. Look, that's not okay. That needs to stop right now. Affirmation. Trust your gut. Advocating for your child and having the big conversations. There are lots of different environments where you as a parent or carer can have important conversations with other adults to help prevent child sexual abuse. It's absolutely fine for your boundaries and advocating your child to change over time. You're allowed to change your mind, but here are some things you might want to think about and some ideas about how you might have a conversation like this in various situations. Feel free to reshape the context, change the words into how you would speak, or practice it out loud to build your confidence. Affirmation. You already have the tools to engage in difficult but necessary conversations to protect your child.